Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel. I make videos all about living my life as a teenager with a disability, preparing to get a new service dog, and surgery recovery, and all that sort of stuff. So if you like that kind of content, or if you're interested in what it's like to live that life, then go ahead and subscribe. In today's video, it is in honor of the beginning of Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, which starts on the 1st of March every year. I gathered a long list of some very, very pathetic sounding assumptions that people have about cerebral palsy, and the sad thing is there are multiple lists of these out there. So I'm hoping to God that somebody will learn from this video and share it, and so that education can be spread. And the first myth on the list is cerebral palsy is caused by lack of oxygen at birth. And here is the fact, okay? The fact is that only a small percentage of cases of CP are caused due to complications at birth, such as oxygen, and most cause of cases are unknown. Okay, so myth number 2: people with cerebral palsy have an fact. CP affects movement and posture, and only half of people with CP have an intellectual disability. The level of intellectual disability can be very mild to very severe. One thing y'all need to know about cerebral palsy is every single person's case of cerebral palsy is going to be different. No two cerebral palsy patients are going to have the same symptoms. This next myth: all people with cerebral palsy are unable to speak. This is untrue. Only 1 in 4 people with cerebral palsy are unable to speak. But you gotta keep in mind, they are still able to communicate because of things like assistive technology and stuff. This is a very sad assumption, and I wish that this wasn't true. I think people assume this because they often compare our condition with CF, cystic fibrosis, which is actually a lung condition. But the myth is people with cerebral palsy don't live that long. And the fact is most people with CP are healthy and can expect to live as long as the average person. Death can be caused by secondary complications. So cerebral palsy has never caused death, but you can die from complications that show up because of cerebral palsy, if that makes sense. But even then, that is very, very, very rare. So it rarely happens. Okay. So, myth says kids with cerebral palsy have no quality of life. And I can already tell you right now that's not true, because although I have cerebral palsy, I had a quality of life, and I still do very much. My mom and my dad did PT and OT games with me in the front yard. My dad taught me how to ride a bike. Like, just because we do things adapted doesn't mean we can't do things like normal kids, because we can. CP is just a modified way of living life. So, this next myth drives me crazy because it is not true, and it is that people with cerebral palsy can't have children. And let me tell you, it's not true, because cerebral palsy does not affect fertility at all. okay? Because it is a brain injury, it affects parts of the brain, and that can affect things like, you know, your intimate life and stuff like that, but it does not affect your fertility, your hormones, or anything like that. There's no evidence. Myth is people with cerebral palsy are mentally retarded, and that's not true. The fact is 60% of patients with cerebral palsy have a normal, even above intelligent level. Okay? So that proves that's so wrong. The fact that 60% of us prove to be above intelligent, that blows that myth out of the water. So that was pathetic. Next one. Everyone with cerebral palsy has a learning disability. The fact that goes along with this: some patients with cerebral palsy have learning disabilities. Many other cerebral palsy patients do not. They can complete any other exam as well as any other growing kids. So, the next myth. Cerebral palsy patients are being punished for their sins. This one is absolutely sickening, especially because it says in the Bible when the disciples and Jesus walked by a blind man. This man is not blind by what he did or what his parents did. He was born blind so that the works of God may be shown through him. So that Bible verse blows that right out of the water. I am finishing this last part of the video with Austin, actually, because he came over and my camera died, and when he wanted to finish filming this video with me. So,
people with cerebral palsy should not be employed.
okay, this is very, very, very untrue. People with cerebral palsy are just as good at working and doing jobs than any other person. They just have to find a job that suits their skills and everything like that, but they can get jobs. Not all of us are sadly able to maintain jobs. It depends on our level of severity and the condition, because if no two people with CP are the same. No one with CP. Like, we could have similar symptoms, but it's not the same. So.
No. Alright. Next one.
Yeah, next one.
Myth 5. People with cerebral palsy should not be allowed to play physical games because they might get hurt.
Okay. This is untrue. Granted, a lot of us have limitations. We know those limitations, and we should definitely be included in things. They must be allowed to play physical outdoor activities based on their abilities. Because like I said, everyone's ability is different when it comes to CP, so yeah.
So people with cerebral palsy should attend special school.
Now every government organization or human rights organization strives to implement accessible schooling, as well as let kids use their accommodations, and they try to do their best to integrate kids with disabilities into normal, inclusive education with help. So, next thing.
People with cerebral palsy should not be allowed to get married or have kids.
Many people with cerebral palsy have gotten married and have had kids.
Yep. Cerebral palsy is passed down through evil spirits.
Yeah, not true. Not true at all. The truth that nothing possesses us or anyone else. We are simply as we are.
Myth 9. Cerebral palsy is curable by surgery.
Sadly, this is not true. Man, I wish this was true, but it's not. The brain damage cannot be cured that is caused by cerebral palsy, but most patients can seek some form of independence or self-independence.
Cerebral palsy is hereditary. Myth 10.
So, that's not true. So, like, when Austin and I have kids, I can't pass cerebral palsy to our kids. It's because it's a brain condition.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It cannot be transferred from person to person, as I said.
Cerebral palsy is progressive.
Cerebral palsy is progressive. Okay. So, the brain damaged cerebral palsy is not progressive. Disability can progress, or regress, or remain static. So basically with cerebral palsy, there's different types. I have cerebral palsy spastic diplegia. I don't even know if you knew that. Yeah. I have cerebral palsy spastic diplegia.
Cerebral palsy is the main cause of death.
Yeah, this is very not true. And it's a lot of people confuse cerebral palsy with cystic fibrosis. And so this is why it gets mixed up. But cerebral palsy itself does not cause death. It's mainly like secondary conditions that can cause death with cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy itself has never been known to cause death. So, yeah, those are all the myths I have for you. I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you guys later. Bye.